We are Kentucky Tennessee Living, and we are here at the Newbern Depot in Newbern, Tennessee. We would love to thank Lynn and Mitzi Willis for their hospitality and knowledge. We truly learned a great deal about rail history during our visit. Today, we will be taking a look at the tools used to help keep the railroad safe and functional. It is amazing to see how large some of these objects were and how they were used to help the railroad system. All aboard the Kentucky Tennessee Living Time Machine. Please fasten your seatbelts and keep your arms and legs inside of the vehicle at all times. But to get going, we need your help. We still need to fire up the time machine to transport us. Please help by clicking on the like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons down below. Not only does this fire up the time machine, but it convinces YouTube that we need a bigger time machine to reach more people who love history as much as you do. Now, back to our story. J. E. Milner, first station master of this building, 1920. Last station master of the second depot that burned in 1919. Service years 1903 through 1946. G.M.O. Railroad Depot at Dyersburg, located across from the L.C. Depot near East Court Street Bridge. G.M.O. line ran from Dyersburg to Jackson via Alamo and Bells. The Y-stick. Before cell phones and two-way radios, when instructions needed to be passed to the train's crew, this Y-stick tool was used. The train order was strung across the Y with a string. Then it was held up by the station or tower operator. When the train passed, the crew would hang out their arm out of the window to grab the message. The Y-stick was donated by Robert and L. Hurt Trimble, Tennessee. Glass insulators were used in the early 1900s atop power poles and telegraph lines to support wires carrying electrical charges. Glass would not hinder this flow. Insulators seen here were made by companies such as Hemingway and Whitall Tatum. Seen here is a link and pin set used on trains from 1830s to 1880s. These were dangerous to connect and limited the amount of pull a train had. They were replaced by a version of the modern couplers starting in 1873. Date nails. Common until the late 1500s, date nails had the year that they were made on the end of them. These nails were used mainly by railroads and utility companies as a way of dating when woodwork was done. Date nails for the railroads hasn't been used by major lines since 1969. The practice started after the Civil War by the companies building the Transcontinental Railroad. Illinois Central Railroad Conductor Coat. This coat was worn by Illinois Central conductor with at least 45 years of experience. Each bar and star represents 5 years of service. Bars were given first, then stars were added. Unfortunately, we do not know who actually wore this coat. It was given to the Dyer County Historical Society and is on loan to the Dyer Depot Museum. 2018 to present. Flag and flare holder. Chicago and Northwestern Railroad. Interior would hold flare and flag. The flag could be mounted on a slot along the side. Flags by John Maxwell, Elizabethtown, Illinois, 2015. Tripod. This tripod was used for railroad survey equipment. This particular tripod still has a mailing tag on it from the Illinois Central Railroad office in Jackson, Tennessee, to the Illinois Central office in Birmingham, Alabama. This item was found in an outdoor baggage room of the Newbern Depot in 2014. No one is sure how it got there. Personal railroad items of Mike Nash. Railroad inspector for the Illinois Central and Canadian National Railroads for 34 years, 1974 through 2008. Donated by the family of Mike Nash, 2015. Railroad mile marker. Railroad mile marker was attached to the mast of railroad signals. This particular mile marker was on a signal 1/3 south of this depot. This signal no longer exists. This section was J Miles 305.8. System was established by the Illinois Central Railroad with the descending numbers going north. Town marker signs. These signs were not associated with the depot, but simply would indicate to a train crews what towns they were passing. Often they were on the sides of utility trackside buildings. These 4 signs were found in the Newbern Depot exterior storage area in April of 2014. This is a Genesee electric lantern. Most were made from 1921 to 1947. 2 spare bulbs were hidden inside the top cover. Donated by Mrs. Annie Combs of Trimble. It is her father's lantern. Illinois Central Railroad lanterns. Clear, standard light. Green, clear, open track. Blue, purple globe, closed track, or cars not to be moved. Donated by John Maxfield, Elizabethtown, Illinois. Large railroad wrenches. Large wrenches were still used sometimes to manually tighten bolts on tracks. The wrench is very heavy, is 4 feet long. This device is a survey target from 1916. One worker held the end on a railroad iron, while another looked at it through a surveyor's telescope. In this way, they could level out dips or rises in the tracks. This was called buffing the rails. A complete set would have included this target, along with surveyor's telescope, tripod, and a large wooden box to store all items jointly. Short track wrench. The short track wrench on display here would have been used in a similar fashion to modern wrenches seen above. It would have tightened bolts, as inspectors found a need. This particular wrench came from the Union Pacific Railroad. Railroad signal light. This signal would be placed on a switch at night. An amber light meant the switch was set to a siding. Green meant the track was set for a straight ahead. This is a rail inspector's lantern. It contained a mirror directly behind the lamp to enhance light in this way. An inspector could more clearly see problems on trains at night. Switch control box heater. This 3-gallon capacity heater keeps switch points dry in the winter. The heater is placed between the ties under the tip of the point with the flame just beneath the point. Typically, the heater burns kerosene. Railroad mailbag tops. Railroad crossing posts federal identity tags. Each crossing had these by law to identify it. These came from Mississippi and were part of the Illinois Central Gulf ICG Railroad. Stove from Dyersburg Depot. This stove served the purpose of both heating the office room it was in and providing ash to be used under the wheels of the steam locomotives for traction as they left the station. The stove had a pan at the bottom that the ash would be collected in, donated by Thomas Richards. Next week, we will dive more into the Newbern Depot and town history that Newbern Depot has to offer with its museum. We wish to thank the station master, Lynn Willis, and his wife, Mitzi, for their generous and wonderful hospitality. We are truly thankful for their time in explaining everything and sharing their knowledge of the station's rich history with us. We truly enjoyed our time with them. We at Kentucky Tennessee Living would like to thank you for your continued support as we discover the mysteries of Appalachian history.